Before we get to the episode, exciting news. I have a new podcast, a second podcast. I am the host and producer of the Strandcast, the official podcast for Strand Bookstore in New York City at 12th and Broadway, the coolest independent bookstore. And now there's a podcast every other week featuring long-form conversations with authors from different genres. The Strandcast is available on iTunes and Stitcher. Just search for the Strandcast. Links will be in the show notes, of course, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And now for the show. Hello there. Welcome to a new episode of Talk Music Talk with Boice. I am Boice. Thank you so much for checking it out. Talk Music Talk is a weekly music interview podcast where I have long-form conversations with people connected to music from different genres and different backgrounds, established and emerging, music therapists, music journalists, singers, singer-songwriters. And on this new episode, I had the pleasure of speaking to Rasha Jay. I will tell you right in advance, she is so much fun, a singer, a songwriter, a possessor of a powerhouse voice. She came to my attention from her publicist, Amanda Samoilov, and I'm glad she did. A special thanks to Amanda. She has a new EP, her second one. It is called High Dive. It is out August 23rd. She is a perfect example of listening to that voice to follow your passion, that little inner voice. She is originally from Baltimore and was on the path of a career in theater, but it never felt right to her. She did demo work. Same thing, never felt right for her. Writing for other artists, same thing, still didn't feel right for her. It wasn't until she finally decided to write her own story, as she says, that things have opened up for her. In this conversation, we talk about that journey. We talk about her influences. We get into the expectations of the music business and other people who say that maybe a woman of color should not do the music that she is doing. We also talk about performing live and her songwriting process. And of course, we talk about the making of High Dive, her brand new EP. After the conversation, you will hear the title track from it, High Dive. Great conversation. And a caveat, between my two podcasts, this and the Strandcast, I believe I've counted correctly that I am making the fourth mention of Tina Turner, the fourth Tina Turner reference. I am not ashamed, nothing to be ashamed about. I believe I may have to make a drinking game for you if I continue to do this, and I most likely will. So there's that. Rasha, what else can I say about her? A great spirit. It comes through the conversation. You will absolutely enjoy it. Her music and her. Here it is, without further ado, my conversation with Rasha Jay. Enjoy. You may think I'm crazy when I tell you this. Okay. I'm going to set it up. So I get the information from your publicist, right? Okay. And then I think the first video I looked at was High Dive, but I'd seen a picture of you. Oh, yeah. You were like, is that her? Yes. I'm like, wow, she looks different. Okay. And then I looked at the YouTube notes and saw that it was not you. But talk about the video.
You can ask me anything you want.
Yes.
And I love
Dive,
that.
You're directing. You're not in it. Explain that. Am I crazy? Okay.
You are not crazy. Not at all. It's my second video for my second single, and I thought about what the song meant and how it came to be, and I wanted to see it represented in other people.
Mm-hmm. What does it mean?
It's literally about taking the chance. It's about doing it anyway. Mm-hmm. It's about, even in the song, the questions people ask you. They doubt. People are worried about you. They're worried for you. Mm-hmm. All the things that happen when you feel like you're doing something that means something so much to you.
Okay.
And I thought about the LGBTQ community. And I thought about so many of my friends that are doing great things. And I just wanted to see that song represented in somebody else.
Okay.
And I found this amazing drag performer, Lady Celestina. And we talked, and I was like, I think you're perfect. I think you're amazing. Mm-hmm. And before I knew it, we were there. It was the day of the shoot, and she killed it. Yeah. And you could feel it. And it was just awesome. And it was great to be director.
Mm-hmm. Was that your first time?
I like doing that.
Is that your first time directing?
Not my first time directing. I've directed some plays, some theater, stuff like that. But I mean, directing the video was like a whole nother thing.
So what was involved for you in directing? Like, what did you like coach her and what you were looking for?
I found the location. I mean, every day. I mean, you kind of forget what directing, all that entails. It was all my idea of the shots. Worked closely with Fee Films to get the shots I wanted. The clothing. I chose the clothing. I wanted the room. I wanted her to match the room. And she does until she doesn't. And direction, the words. I mean, that song is wordy. Even when I sing it.
It's a lot to remember to lip sync.
How's the first word go? Right. So just making sure that the talent is comfortable. There's a lot of levels to directing. I definitely respect it and I love it and I want to do it again.
Was there any hesitation in not being in your video?
It wasn't for me, but for everybody else. My mama was like, "You're not going to be in it at all?" I'm like, "No." "You sure?" And then she finally said to me, she said, "I think you should be at the end. I think you should make a cameo. People are still getting to know you, and it's a bold move. But I think you should be in it at the end." And that's why I'm at the cameo at the end.
Okay. So that's what the song's about, though. Taking risks, jumping.
Exactly. So for me, it was like, I don't need to be in it. So many artists do videos where they're not in it. But I think so many people were like, you're not? I'm like, how many times do I have to say it? They were really shocked. I was like, I don't have to be at the center of it all.
No.
The song is mine. I get to sing it
You're
forever.
Still singing.
I wrote it. I co-produced it. It's mine. You know, so I don't mind sharing it.
Yeah. So talk about your theater background that gave you the experience to do the video.
Yeah, so I studied theater in college, and I was one of those kids that watched theater on TV, movie musicals. For a while, I wanted to do only Broadway and maybe do my music on the side. So I did the whole gamut of auditioning. I joined Equity. I did all these very official steps to do professional Broadway theater. And I realized after I did it that it really wasn't all that I wanted it to be. And I decided that I was cool singing other people's music, and I love theater, but I wanted to sing my stuff. I wanted to sing my stuff. And the time came when I was auditioning for theater and stuff, and I got a call from a friend to come to the studio to help a Broadway actor who wanted to do more contemporary music work on his album. And I'm in the studio and I'm writing with him. He's amazing. And I'm working with him and doing vocal producing with him. And I'm thinking, man, I want to do this. I miss studio time full time or half time. I miss all of that. So I just turned it around. I was like, let's split the time. If we see it, something we want to audition for, it's fine. I'm also in SAG-AFTRA. So like I said, I did the whole thing. And if I see something I like, fine. But we're going to go back to our roots and write. I mean, I wrote my first song when I was 9 years old. So for me, it was like, just go back and devote that time. Sing your own songs.
Did you not? Did you not think that it was possible that I can, say, have a Broadway career and be a solo artist? That you had to kind of choose?
I felt like I had to choose at the time because of the amount of time you need. I mean, when I was auditioning, I was doing it full time. I was not even, like, when I was going hard at it, that was my job. To wake up and audition.
What does full-time auditioning look like?
Oh my gosh. I'll say this, you spend a lot more time prepping for the audition than actually auditioning. I found a pianist to rehearse my songs. I had to choose my songs. I had to make sure I had the right sheet music in the right key. What am I wearing that day? What is my book looking like? So if they say, can you sing something else? You have it.
So you got to have several songs already in the canon.
It's a lot more prep than it is. You have 5 minutes in that room. And I remember walking out and going, I get exhale because you've done so much prep. I got a little uneasy about it because it was like the same role. And a lot of roles I couldn't play because I didn't look the part.
Okay. The role that they saw you in?
I could sound the part, didn't look the part.
Okay. So there was a role that they saw you as.
Well, not as well. I'll say this: a lot of roles for theater actresses, women of color, is kind of like the very similar role.
Okay.
So you're either like the mentor, the mother. You're pretty magical, or you have magic powers.
Okay.
You are the logical person, the sane person. I mean, that's still the same way it is.
Yeah.
So when I saw, auditions, I would get, it's like the same woman. And I was like, and then I would go in and, for example, the best example I can give you is I got a call back for Rock of Ages when it was on Broadway. And then I got a call back for Rock of Ages when they were doing like a tour of it. And it was the same feedback. Like I knew I could sing the part, the notes. I sang it. When I got my call back and I walked in the room and I saw like the other women that were there, I was like, I mean, there's a line in there with that she says that she's in high school in the 70s. Okay. My mama was in high school in the 70s. Yeah. I can't pull it off. I remember putting my hair back in a bun. I have dimples. Don't smile. Yeah. Look more mature. Look, it just wasn't it. And I remember they smiled behind the table and he said, you have a beautiful voice. And I'm very thankful. Thank you. But I knew in my heart, I was like, I need time to look the part of the roles that are written.
That you want.
Like, that's what I was like, you know what? Go back to writing your own story.
Yeah.
That it just reinforced what I was feeling.
Okay.
Go back and write the songs. Be the person you want to be.
Does anybody in school like pull you to the side? Hey, you're a woman of color. This is what auditioning might look like.
No, but I remember before I joined Equity, or when I was trying to get there to where I could join and get my Equity card, I remember pulling over some men of color that I respected who were working on Broadway. Yeah. And they were very honest with me. That I wasn't going crazy with what I saw. Yeah. Like, am I losing my mind here? So they were really honest with me, and I really appreciated that. But at the time, there were a lot of roles and things I wanted to do. I mean, The Color Purple was still on Broadway. This is like 5-6 years ago. Yeah. So Color Purple, I mean, Lion King. I mean, there's just a lot of roles at the time that inhabited a lot of women of color. Yeah. So I wasn't worried about the abundance. But Color Purple is an adaptation. I'm talking about like original works, or even works that have been around forever, like Chicago. You have the mama. Have the matron of the jail is normally played by a woman of color. It's still that same authority figure. Like, and I was just like, wow, I love this music, but I wanted to make my own. It was time to go back. Yeah, that makes sense. I was. Yeah. So but I'm still open to it. Like I always am looking. I'm very in tune with the Broadway world and what's happening, and I'm still looking for a role that I like. Okay, that's good to hear. So
you said when you were 9, you wrote your first song. So what prompted that?
I still remember it. That's why I'm joking. Laughing at myself. I don't know. Honestly, as I asked my family, when did they see it? When did they see performer or singer? I don't remember. And my mom says, and my aunts have backed this up, that when I was 2 or 3, we had a relative that would come over and they would hear me singing, and they would sit me on the front porch and sing me and teach me gospel songs. Yeah, I don't remember that, but I think that's a great way to start. Not just singing, but having that support and somebody seeing that in you and teaching you songs and giving you that sort of push. Okay. So I think that's a great way to start. So as far as I remember, this is what I've always done. I've always written. I've had diaries since I was 3rd grade, and in it are poems and songs. So I think for me, it just felt like this is who I am.
Were you doing the whole preparation of choirs and school plays or any of that thing? Like, how was the singing manifesting?
The singing was manifesting in, I'll say, opportunities where they needed solos in school. Okay. So my first solo was repeating the word meow. Okay. when I was in third grade, but I had to audition for that part. Imagine third grade.
That's a tough school.
My elementary school wasn't playing. So I don't suffer fools. These kids upset that they have to audition. Third grade. I'll never forget having to audition for my first solo to repeat the word meow.
Meow. You did it with feeling.
In a singing way, sort of. We had to audition.
Yeah.
And I remember being a little like, are they kidding? Stayed after class, auditioned for my favorite music teacher, Mrs. Webster. And I got the part. And I remember wanting to climb onto the desk because they played it on the loudspeaker after the morning announcements. They're like, and have a great day. And now here's such and such.
Like, yeah.
And I hear my voice and I wanted to crawl under the desk at that age. So I was still pretty shy at that time. I was like, I sing, but I didn't need the whole school knowing. But I found myself every time there was an opportunity, I was going for it.
Yeah.
But I was still shy.
Okay.
But I wanted it. So by the time fourth grade happened, it was another school play. Hey, you want to be a ladybug? There's a solo part.
Yeah.
Yes. And I got it. So that's what I'm saying. It's like I felt one way, but I found myself still going out for all the parts.
Yeah.
Still,
well, a lot of performers are shy.
And I was very shy. I just, and it's something different. Like when you sing and you tell people you sing, what's the first thing they say?
Oh, sing something. Like they immediately put you on the spot.
And you're just like, I'm eating soup right now.
Yeah.
Like you're not really thinking that.
In no regards. Maybe I need to do a warm up. Yeah, maybe I need to do some vocal runs first. Maybe I need to drink some tea. Yeah.
You're like, I
need some throaties or something.
I'm folding towels in the laundromat. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So I got used to don't tell people you sing. Because they want to hear something. And I don't blame them. But it just got to the point where I was like, okay. All right. So doing theater and what's interesting is for the people who knew me or maybe knew me by working with me in a show or seeing me at an audition or becoming friends, there's a whole other batch of people that didn't know I did theater, that knew I did studio work.
Okay.
Because when I was like 17, I started doing demo work where I was a demo singer for signed artists.
How'd you like that?
It was hard because I wanted to be the artist.
Yeah.
It's very hard to demo a song. And I even got into co-writing some of that stuff. And it was painful. Yeah. Because a couple occasions I would meet the artists and they were brats.
Okay.
And I just thought,
you don't deserve this.
Secretly, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, if it was me, man, I'd be a lot more humble than you. And sometimes you would get feedback that they thought I was the artist and maybe sang, quote unquote, better than the singer. But all it didn't feed my ego as much as it fed my hunger. I wanted to be signed. And, I mean, it's not that long ago where you had to know somebody and be signed. Yeah. This whole new wave of like what I'm doing now, putting out music, that's still kind of new. Yeah. For all these eons, you had to know somebody to know somebody to know somebody to maybe get your stuff into an A&R, the hands of an A&R person. So when I was growing up, you had to know somebody, or maybe sing at a showcase. Maybe they were looking for artists. Yeah. So at that time, getting a record deal felt like, man, it felt so far away. Yeah. It really felt like, how do I do this, you know?
What kept you motivated?
At the heart of it, I knew that I could write for myself. I think it's something different. Like, I think if you don't write and you just sing, you're looking for just opportunities to sing, and you're looking for songs, or you're covering everybody else's music. Yeah. When you're a songwriter, well, I wrote this song, here it goes. Yeah. And it's another, it's like letters after your name. PhD, like MD, certified. It's like letters after your name. So for me, it was like, I felt like I never stopped writing songs. I never stopped singing. And then I had that little bump of trying to get out there. Yeah. And it felt like the world is always going to embrace songwriters.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you can sing great. I mean, Whitney Houston is one of my favorite singers of the world, and she didn't write.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
She interpreted.
Exactly. Yeah. But I also respected Mariah Carey because she writes.
Yeah.
So I grew up with some great, wonderful singers and songwriters to understand that there was a path and to keep going.
Yeah. Who are some of the people you're listening to? Because in your music, you hear like so much.
I'm so glad you asked me that. Oh, man. That's such a great question. It's so... Oh, man. I love so many artists, and I'm inspired by, or at least I'm moved by what people do. So I always give credit to my Uncle Larry and his record collection, because his record collection was like giving me fuel for all the sounds and music that I loved that he played down in his bedroom basement. And I was at the top of the stairs. I wasn't supposed to be there. You know, there was adults doing adult things, talking, cursing, probably doing other stuff that I wasn't supposed to hear or smell or see. But I would sneak to the top of the stairs, and he was a record collector and family DJ. So he was a lover of music and art, and he was a painter, and he had an extensive record collection, and he played everything. My uncle had like written Lynyrd Skynyrd in paint on the wall. So we heard like country rock, blues rock, whatever pop was of the day. So in the 80s, that would have been like Culture Club. I remember I didn't know that Boy George wasn't black. Like I remember growing up and seeing the album covers and not knowing who was who in Culture Club. Being a little kid and thinking that, well, that wasn't the lead singer. The other guy is, right?
That sounds like what the lead singer would be. Yeah.
Exactly.
He looks like what the lead singer would be.
Exactly. I didn't know George Michael wasn't black until I saw, like, you know what I mean? So for me, I thought soul music came from one place, but I found myself loving so much stuff based on what he played, and he played a lot of Prince. And to me, Prince sounded like everything. He didn't just sound, I could never pin him down. And he is definitely one of my inspirations, because I still can't pin his music down. No. And I'm fine with that. I don't need to check the box for him. You know what I mean? And then, the 90s hit, and of course, I fell in love with the... I don't know. It just felt, I'll use the word dark because I'm thinking of words, but I loved that melancholy vibe of alt rock and Pearl Jam, and of course Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots. So I'll cover Stone Temple Pilots, or I've covered Pearl Jam. I've covered Foo Fighters. Just, I think it's to exercise all the sort of dreams I had when I was singing their songs in my bedroom. Like, it's like, oh, I get to sing this finally in front of an audience. Oh my gosh. I've heard my parents' eardrums growing up. Now I get to really do it. So I get to exercise that muscle, and it feels so good. So occasionally I'll throw in their songs. But I also love Sade. I still listen to Sade. Your Love is King is like really one of my favorite songs of hers. I can listen to it over and over. But I also grew up loving and idolizing Janet Jackson because she was doing everything. And that's what I thought I wanted to do. I thought, and I still am, I'm not going to say it like it's past tense and it can't happen. Just like I say I'm directing and like doing cinematography and stuff. Janet Jackson with Paula Abdul, they were doing everything. It was like writing, producing, choreography, dancing. So... I grew up thinking that, sky's the limit. Madonna, sky's the limit.
Did you, when did you start to think, okay, I can mix all these things into my own music, all these influences?
Oh, man. You know what happened? I just wrote the songs. And when I wrote them, and when I thought about, for example, I worked with this producer maybe 5 years ago, and I was just demoing stuff. Just getting stuff out, working songs through. And one of the questions he would ask me, because he understood that I understood music. He wasn't just treating me like, you have this song and I have to do all the work.
Okay.
You've got words. Great. You've got melody. Great. He understood that I understood music. So what he would ask me for ahead of time, what instruments are on this song? And I would go, oh, I thank you for asking me that. So here's what's on this song. This is what I hear. So in terms of being a producer, I can hear the music. I play a little keys. I play a little guitar. But a lot of songs I've written really come from the melodies. I hear melodies all the time. It sounds pretty spooky, right?
No. I do that.
I hear melodies all the time. I do. I hear melodies all the time. So even when I have no clue the tempo, if I've got a line or a word in my head or an idea, I definitely can hear the melody. Yeah. And even with my limited keyboard playing, a lot of songs that I've written, if I use the keys, it's a couple chords.
Yeah.
And I can hear what's happening. So I guess the skill is trying to really interpret what you hear out to someone who's playing bass, to someone who's playing guitar, and they're a master at that, and they just want to know what you want.
Okay.
And they say, what do you want on this track? Whew. Okay. This is what I want.
Yeah.
I want it to sound like a dolphin is... No, I'm just kidding.
But if you need to do that to get your point across...
Those conversations have been had with the making of this EP. Like what it sounds like, what it feels like. What's the tone of it? What is happening here? So,
yeah. See, I feel like there's something like if you're an instrument, either you don't play an instrument, but you come with vocal melodies, or you have very little technical skill, that the hooks become really strong because that's your main focus. That they're just living in your head and you put them out.
I mean, I hope so. That's great. You know what? I'm gonna take that. Okay, I'm gonna borrow that.
Sure thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't always go for big swooping hooks like some big octave jump. You know, that's done a lot in pop music where especially recently where like the verses are a couple notes and then it jumps to this huge hook.
Yeah,
that's done on purpose, and I respect that. But I literally write the song, and then I try not to mess with it, thinking it has to fit a box or like it has to do this or do that.
Yeah.
You know.
So you were gearing, I guess, since you were going to have a career in, you wanted to have a career on Broadway. So you went to school for that. Where'd you go to school? You're from Baltimore, right?
Well, I'm from Maryland, University of Maryland, College Park, a little bit of Howard University at first, which was very enlightening and amazing for that short time I was there. Because that's the hub of so many artists that went to Howard University. So I just kind of felt like I was, and then I just wanted to be up here in New York City. I wanted to be up north. I wasn't north enough, right? The DMV, which is my home and my love. I mean, look, I grew up seeing all the images like everybody else that moves to New York City.
Yeah.
I'm just like everybody.
That's the dream.
So many people arrive on the bus or arrive. I did the same thing. And I started researching schools, and I auditioned for the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and I had the nerve to get in. And then when I got here and I had orientation, I mean, who could predict this? I got here, had orientation, and was like, I don't want to do this. Oh no. And they were like, so you won't have time to work. You'll just be auditioning. I was like, wait, who's paying the bills here? Oh my gosh, what did I do? I was like, you know what I'm going to do? Much love to that school because I love that school. And everybody there was so kind to me. I was like, okay, I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm going to do what I saw on TV. I'm just going to get headshots done. I'm going to, I don't know, read some plays. And I'm just going to audition. Just going to get into it. I'm just going to, sure. And you're in New York City. You could take some classes at William Esper. There's so many ways to skin a cat, as they say. And in New York, you really could do that. So I found myself being that rebellious artist self that so many people are. And I was like, I'm going to do this my way. And I never left. I've been here ever since.
Okay. But you knew at that audition, it wasn't right.
I auditioned on a rainy day with my grandma in the car. I'll never forget. And by the time I got the letter saying I got accepted, which I cried for days because I didn't. Small town. I'm from a very small town. You see it on TV, getting that acceptance letter and moving to New York. You do it. You believe in yourself. But I think I still have that letter somewhere. But that letter saying I got accepted to that school, I was like, oh my gosh. It felt like I was doing it. The great trek that you see so often played out. But what's not played out often is what happens when you do move here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That grind is real.
Yeah,
I respect it. I still respect it because now I'm in a new grind. I have to get my, I want to, I want my music to be heard.
Yeah,
so it's to me, it's a grind, but it's not too far off. I still wake up and go to bed thinking about my music, thinking about ways to share it.
Yeah.
And not just within the confines of social media, but just, performing. What places can I play at so I can play my stuff live? So to me, the grind is still, it's a happy grind.
Yeah.
It's a happy grind.
Okay.
I'm happy
because you're doing what you love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When did you start working on your recorded music? Because your second EP is coming out soon.
My second EP is out on August 23rd. Yeah. I started working on this second EP in 2017. And I found Kat Maz, who is the producer who produced this EP with me. And I listened to his SoundCloud. And I fell in love with his first EP. And I said, that's the person that I think gets it.
Yeah.
Because his music was eclectic. It didn't have any rules. It's indie. It's got groove. But then it reminds me a lot of, I call him a mini Beck. Because it has no bounds. And that kind of stuff I love.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. And, he's like, okay, let's work together. He loved what I was doing. He listened to my first EP. And I came over to his studio in Brooklyn. And he literally was like, nice to meet you. He was like, okay, let's work. And I was like, okay, let's get started. Okay, we're starting? Wait, we're starting?
You thought it was just going to be an informational meeting.
Yeah, he was like, let's go. He literally was like, what you got? And I looked at him like, okay. And he set me up with a mic, a little scratch mic outside the studio.
Yeah.
Not formal, just sing into this and we'll get a basis of what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And I sang Red Coat for him. And he was like, okay. And then I was like, it's dark. It's murky. I don't want the production to be bright. I knew what I wanted that song to be.
Yeah.
And the guitar riff that's in that song is what I also knew. So I sang the guitar riff.
Yeah.
And he emulated that. And I knew right then and there we would work great because it wasn't like he was like, you can't do that. Or why are you doing that? He was like, let's go.
Yeah.
Go. And then we had a break because he had to go away for 6 months. I was like, wait. We've done one song and you got to go?
Yeah,
wait, what? He was doing his music stuff. He's an artist as well. So 6 months go by. But by then, I had a better scope of what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, okay. So it was like, 2 race ponies.
Yeah. How'd your vision change or what was the difference between the beginning of the 6 months and
Red
coming
Coat
back
is
and
like
meeting?
what I knew was certain. Red Coat felt so certain. And it's just something that wouldn't leave me. The guitar riff didn't leave me. So I knew Red Coat was certain. The next song we did, oh boy. It may have been, oh boy. I mean, this is how it is. I'm at home with my little mini studio, which is not fancy.
Yeah.
My little software, my little $99 mic. Doesn't matter. Software.
We're talking on $99 mics now.
They work. They're great. This is great. I mean, I'm at home, and if I have an idea or there's sounds on the software, just to get a basis, a metronome, a drum beat, a sound that inspires me or is getting me towards the direction of what I have in my head.
Yeah.
I lay it down, and so while he was gone, I was sending him stuff. I was emailing him stuff. Let's work on this when you get back. Let's work on this when you get back. So we had a little stockpile of things. And Strangeland may have been the next song that we worked on. And Strangeland, that song almost didn't make the EP. That's a song that I had written years ago, and it was more sad, and it was just acoustic. And it was a song that I produced at home. and said, well, if it's going to be on this EP, it has to have a different vibe. We can still have the same sentiment, but we're going to be able to do a two-step to it.
Okay.
We're going to bop to it.
Okay.
We're going to be sad, but we're going to raise our drinks in the air, and we're going to be able to dance to it.
Okay.
Same feeling. So I didn't change the words, barely changed the melody, but I had to change the production for me to love it again because I was falling out of love with the song. And so I put the big, heavy drum on it. It was heavier than that. We had to dial it back. I found this very similar beat, and I added the hand cymbal and the bass pluck, and it's very simple. And before I knew it, Strangeland was done, and then we did Imaginary. So it was going. It was going. I was allowing myself to go with it without saying. I only for a second thought about, whoa, Redcoat, Strangeland. Wow, those are very different. What else do I have that can not bridge them together, but to feel like it can be I was like, wow. And High Dive came about.
Okay.
Which is the second single that I released in May 31st, actually, of this year. And that song has heart. It makes my heart thump only because it reminds me a lot of the rock that I love. The rock that has heavy guitar, that has these thunderous moments where we let the guitar do all the work.
Yeah.
I'm not singing a lot on it, which is what I love. I'm like, what happened to songs where there was like an instrumental? I don't need a sax solo. This ain't Careless Whisper by George Michael, right? But what happened to songs where nobody's singing and the music is just going? So I wanted High Dive to do that, and that's exactly what it does. And I'm so happy for it. I'm so glad I get to sing out with a bang because it builds, but then the music is carrying it. Like that is great. And it reminds me of, again, my childhood and like growing up and where songs were almost half, it was like half vocal, half instrumental. And I love that. Yeah. And live, oh man, we go. It's to the moon. Yeah. It's off somewhere.
What was the difference between making the second EP and the first EP?
Oh, that is that's a good question.
Thank you.
Ooh, wow. I'll say this. The first EP felt like a volcano in that I had all these ideas. The songs were coming to me faster. I have so many songs from that time period, that 2013, 2014, 2012 even time period on my phone than I've ever had for this EP. Yeah. That felt like if I don't get this stuff out, I'm going to explode. Yeah. So, oh man, it felt like an immediate thing. And I was just so happy to get it out because it was like my first official EP. It wasn't somebody else's music that I wrote or co-wrote or vocal produced. It was mine. And I was such in a hurry that I, found a photographer. We went on his grandmother's rooftop for the black and white photos. I knew I wanted it to be black and white. I didn't do any PR for it. Yeah. I didn't contact anyone. Literally, I found a distributor, submitted it, did the whole copywritten process. I did the legit stuff, register with ASCAP. Like I did all that stuff that I think you're supposed to do. Yeah. But other than that, I didn't contact a soul. I literally I got CDs. That's all I cared about at the time. So I was like,
it's tangible.
I grew up cutting my finger, trying to unwrap a CD. That's how I'm going to open my first CD. That's all I cared about, little things like that. Yeah. And I remember announcing it on my Instagram, like, it used to be mine, now it's yours. My EP Cicada, which is on my neck still here. My EP Cicada is out everywhere. And I think, looking back, and again, not social media savvy, I definitely was in the hustle of performing it live. Yeah. Booked a lot of shows. Ahead of it, had gone to London and did some shows. I mean, I was in that grind. Again, I know the grind. I know the grind. The grind I can do. The social media part I'm horrible at. Yeah. I'm getting better, I promise. I'm getting much better. But the grind and contacting venues to play, got it. Yeah. Love that, actually. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Getting the set list together, forming a band, which takes time. That I love.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said about getting your chops, performing in front of people. Yeah. Like, you can get someone to do the social media for you and teach you that. Well, someone can teach you that.
I'm definitely learning
They can teach you that. But like, the performance part, only you can do that and grow and get better and excite people on stage. Like, no one else can do that for you either.
That's true. And honestly, the performance is my favorite part. I love being in the studio and creating and hearing that playback and feeling like you have something to play.
Yeah.
That, but the live performance, I can sing live all day. And usually once I get going, I can sing all night.
Yeah.
My voice is like, okay, what are we doing next? And I always joke with my band that wonderful exhale that happens and you're done with the show. I literally am grabbing one of my guitarists, usually like, where's our tour bus? I'm ready. Like, I want to leave this place. Like, I'm ready to go. Yeah. Like, that adrenaline is like no other. I mean, that's what every performer talks about. Yeah. That is unreal.
So when people listen to High Dive, what do you think they'll hear?
The song. Okay, the EP.
The EP. What do you want people to walk away from? What does it say about you? What does it say about you?
Again, these are questions that I'm like, whoa. I'll just say this. It's hard for me to say what I hope they get.
Yeah. Did you have an intention? Your intention?
My intention was to represent, in a small way, that Black girls do rock, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Especially my first EP, heavy, more rock influence than this one. But with High Dive, I wanted to explore all the places I could go, and I think maybe it was a little bit of a personal thing because I think my whole singing life, people have made a lot of assumptions about what music I do.
Yeah.
Or what music they wish I would do. Let me be clear. I'm talking, even personally, my father would love for me to be a gospel artist.
Okay.
He is not shy about that. He mentions it a lot. He would even like to fund it. He literally wanted to give me money to produce a
Really?
He is, please. If I would be a gospel artist, trust me, I would have he would be executive producer. No problem. So I think a lot of people hear my voice and see me as a woman of color, and they have no. It's fine that they think maybe I just do R&B or gospel music. I'm fine with that. You ever, but I don't. My music has soul. My voice does what it does. But when I write, it comes out different. How I want my production doesn't come out straight laced like that. And I think what I hope people do grasp is that this is the music that I do with my voice. So no matter what you wish I would do, or you hope that my music would go here, or you wish this would do that, I stand firm in what I've created. And it does comb through all the different parts of music that I love. The unexpected, the hard, the soft, the grooves. I love grooves, obviously. But I also like being a little off, a little alternative. This EP is definitely alternative. And at first I thought it would be, when I did Red Coat at first, I thought it would be dead on alt rock or indie rock. It has elements of that. But when I did Red Coat, I thought that's what this whole EP would be like.
Okay.
High Dive definitely, the song High Dive definitely goes with Red Coat in that vein. Okay, we're rocking, we're rolling. But then when you start thinking about Imaginary, which is still a song, I'm still like, I did that. I wrote that and I produced that at home. Like, that song started at home with me with that beat, that drum beat, and playing with the Rhodes, and then not just leaving it as it is, but reversing the Rhodes. Once I reverse the Rhodes, the song sounds different. Right? It takes on a different. But I love all that dark, murky stuff, as you can tell, as you can see. And then I thought, whoa, this is heavy. I don't even know where the song is going. What is this? What is this song? I had no words, no melody.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I found a music box sound. Well, music boxes all have a melody. They're just like another song. But I didn't want it to sound like that, so I cut up the music box and moved the notes around to make it sound more off. Yeah. And I love it. So then I had this weird thing with reverse Rhodes and a big fat drum beat and this quirky little ding, 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 ding off music box that's maybe been in the attic too long. I was like, well, what do you write with this? Because this song is doing this. Yeah. It's going in the vein of definitely alternative, but what am I writing about? And I thought about, well, let's keep going. Let's write about somebody who's a little off that is writing about an imaginary relationship they don't really have. Go with it.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying. So the EP is about me going with it. Yeah, it is about the high dive. Okay. And it goes back to the name of the EP. Because with all this, I'm indeed doing that. Yeah, I feel personally like I am on many levels doing that. Yeah. So, that's what I hope they get from it, that I'm definitely high diving. Yeah. I
love hearing, as a Tina Turner fanboy. Okay. I can't help but think about, the parallels, because there was a time, we love her, right? Yeah. But there was a time when her saying she wanted to be a rock singer.
Hello.
No one saw that.
Do you know you're not the first person to reference her with me, and I'm in love with it. I respect it, and I respect her, and I also understand the need to do what you want to do versus, that's a high dive. That's a high dive from another planet. What she did at that time, and everybody knew her as a very safe. Melodic, even though she was a rock star singing those songs. Yeah. Come on. And I have covered River Deep Mountain High, a live version that she does that's very different than the recording, very different than the Spectre recording. It's the live version that I do because it's totally different and she's way up in the stratosphere with notes. I love all that. But I totally get that. And yes, people I've talked to has said that, that kind of thing and that venture into rock is not done so often. It's not done so much in a very obvious way.
And the show to follow your journey, to stay true to that regardless, which is what you're doing, regardless of what other people may say, that it can end up being quite great.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which I see that for you.
It feels great already because it's out. I don't know. It's I think releasing music is like levels. So the music has been done. For me, it's done. But because people haven't heard all of it, they've heard Red Coat, they've heard High Dive. And I debated on whether even releasing a second single. I'm like, how do I do this? My first EP, I gave it all out. One big drop. Yeah. I don't know. What do you do? So, but I really wanted to do 2 singles with this to get people put their feet in the water. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think it's so great that you mentioned Tina Turner because I definitely feel that, and I love that she in the 80s, was like, but to be very fair, if you listen to her singing live, especially my love watching live video of her, she's doing rock and roll. Yeah, that's what she said. The albums may look differently. Those chords are sure they're the background singers. Look at them. That to me is rock and roll. Yeah.
She's the queen of rock.
She's just changing the tempo, and maybe there's a guitar solo where they're wailing. But at the core of rock and roll is definitely soul music. Yeah. So I always remember, as I say, to go to the well. And as far as I want to go, and I love so many rock bands and English rock bands now, I still dial it back and go, well, for me, rock and roll is Chuck Berry. Yeah. For me, rock and roll is Tina Turner. For me, rock and roll in some aspects is like Bessie Smith singing the blues back then, and Howlin' Wolf, and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I always definitely understand that the music I love now, just dial it back and go back to all of that. Yeah. And so my music will always have that soul in it. I'm not changing that. Yeah, I'm not changing my voice to sound like anybody else. My voice is my own. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
So where's the best place for people to keep up with you online, get the music?
Well, my music is on all platforms, including my first EP. If you're like, hey, where's this going? If you want to hear some of my stuff, all my music is available on all streaming platforms, from Spotify to Apple Music, Tidal, Pandora, Amazon, all of them. Also SoundCloud, and
RashaJ.com.
Yeah, RashaJ.com is my website, where I'm developing it and making it more interactive, but it's got all the goods on it. And Instagram, Rasha J Music.
And I'll put all this in the show notes.
Yeah. And so the cool thing about A23 is that night I'm also performing the EP live for everybody. I mean, come on. I'm going to come out of my skin. I'm going to come out of my skin. They're going to have to be like, Rasha, it's 2 a.m., honey. We got to close the venue. I'm still going to be singing. Come on. Like, I get to sing my EP that night.
It was exciting.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. So.
Thank you, Rasha. This was wonderful. It was a pleasure to meet you and to talk. I'm glad we did this.
This has been great. I thank you so much.
Sure, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Never mind the cost. You've got your worth in your pocket. Fine stitches still coming up short. But all your promises are safe there. And so it begins. A hard knock to the shins in the darkness. But you're speaking loud from the basement of a beautiful house. In a suit too big, not as big as your mouth. High diver. I
And that was Rasha Jay with High Dive, the title track from her brand new EP out August 23rd. Album release party the same day at Fox and Crow in Jersey City. Link in the show notes. Make sure you go to her website, rashaj.com, and hit her up on all the social media. I am online at a few places, talkmusictalk.com for more podcast information and to stream every single episode. I am also on social media on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as @ThisIsBoice. Special requests for you. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and much more. Just search for Talk Music Talk. Please leave a 5-star rating and or review to help expose the podcast to more listeners. Also, there is a Talk Music Talk app. It is free. You can get it wherever you like to get your apps. Again, just search for Talk Music Talk. And don't forget my other podcast, the Strandcast, the official podcast for Strand Bookstore in New York City. Link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to this episode with Rasha Jay. Didn't I tell you that she was a lot of fun? Until next time, and there will be a next time, this one's for you, Liz.